There's really never been a guy in this sport that is more misinterpreted than Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley is such a nice guy, and he's usually on the correct side of arguments. But for some reason, the fans misinterpret him. And I don't know if it's his body language or the confidence mistaken as arrogance in which he makes statements. But any statement he makes, he comes out smelling terrible. When if you actually judge the words that he used, he was right. So here, let me give you an example. Here's what happened on Monday. As we know, Tyron versus Darren Till's coming up. And what I really like, what I think is a lot of fun and a great talking point, so fun, is that Kamaru Usman has been put in the bullpen. Meaning if anything is to happen to Till or Woodley, Usman will step in. Now, in the fighters' minds, that has been misinterpreted somewhat to mean that Usman will get... So here's how the process will work. Usman has some kind of a financial agreement with the UFC. He gets to participate. He gets to go through camp. He has to get licensed, cut the weight, get the trainers, do everything like he's going to fight, even though he likely will not be fighting. In exchange, there is some compensation for all of those efforts so that the trainers can get paid and the managers who worked this out, and Usman gets something for his time. It's very fair by all parties, and a big risk by Usman, a big emotional, perhaps, upswing that he could get let down, but he's willing to take that, and the UFC is kind enough to let him participate financially. Okay, great. I just want to explain that in case people don't know, and I think I do need to explain it because I hope that this becomes a new part of our sport. I love it. I think it's so fun when we know who the replacement will be. Created something to talk about and maybe even something to look forward to. What do we see a lot of times? A lot of times we see that we'd rather see the replacement in there, don't we? That happens sometimes. Okay. So to set that stage for you, it is largely believed amongst the fighters, it appears, that Usman would only step in the event that somebody misses weight. And in large part, that is how that has been represented. But in large part, that is misrepresented to my understanding of it, which is fighters pull out and fights get compromised for many other outside reasons other than the scale. In fact, I cannot think of very many examples off the top of my head where somebody missed weight and that cost us a fight. Sometimes the championship was held up. I think one time that happened, but possibly a couple. And other times, the fighter just has to give up a piece of his purse and the show goes on anyway. I can't think of a whole lot of examples where the fight was actually scratched due to missed weight. And the reason I offer that is Tyron Woodley came out on Ariel's show and he said, I won't be fighting Usman under any circumstances on this card. So Woodley was then looked at as the skunk at the garden party who wasn't willing to be a team player and play ball. But that's only because people focused on that and they didn't listen to his very next statement where he said, I will be fighting Till no matter what, including if Darren Till misses weight. I do not care if he makes weight. The commission and the promotion have their policies in place for how that is handled. The title will not be in line. Tyron didn't say these things. I'm speaking for him here. He just simply said the show will go on and I will be fighting Till no matter what on that date. So Tyron was the good guy. Tyron was the good guy in that scenario saying, you guys have been promised a certain fight. I'm in the same boat as you. I've also been promised a specific opponent. You're getting ready to see that fight. I'm in the same boat as you. I am preparing for this specific fight and I will see this through regardless to what the scale may say. Tyron was a great guy in this, but it was largely misinterpreted, in my opinion, to say that Tyron wasn't willing to go along and deal with the adjustments. In fact, Tyron went a step further, speaking of being a nice guy, or the good guy in this situation, and he even said, he put Kamaru over. He said, look, Usman's so good, I would take Usman so serious. That's just not a guy I would agree to fight on short notice. He did not use some of the narratives that do annoy us, such as he doesn't deserve it or he hasn't earned it. Champ didn't do anything like that. I'm adding a few more words, in fairness, than what Tyron actually said. I'm adding the interpretation. But he was saying, man, this is a good fighter. This guy's never been beaten before. This guy is a rightful top contender. Darren Till said the same thing about Kamaru. Darren Till's come out and said, if you really wanted me to be fair, I think that Tyron Woodley's a really hard fight for me. I think that Kamaru with his wrestling is a really hard fight for me. And I think Colby Covington with his pace is a really hard fight for me. And I find that compelling. I like it when a fighter does that. I don't think it serves a fighter in the long term to only put people down. I think at times you have to grab a guy and put him over. It doesn't even have to be somebody from your weight class. You could grab a guy in a different division and go, wow, look at that Demetrius Johnson. That guy's amazing. I love watching him fight. Whoever it is, you just pick a guy, but you need to also put guys over so that when you go to the dark side, it has a little bit more clout. And I can also tell you, it's no way to live your life. If you live your life and you're only negative, you're just going to be a negative person, right? They're actress or comedian. You guys know Kathy Griffin. She's out there. I would hate to have her job. She made a living off of being negative. Well, pretty soon you become that person, right? As human beings, we are whoever we pretend to be. So she's out there performing theater day in and day out and just became this. I use her as an example. It's not a role that somebody is going to enjoy playing over the long term, but it's also not a role that the fans are going to be able to get behind because they never know when that person is being serious. They never know when they're really giving a knock or a bump to an opponent, or they're just doing a shtick, which is to always put everybody down and always put yourself over the top.